We all need a mother and father, and they can be the sun. They can be the sun. We all need a mother and father, and they can be the sun. This is gonna be the fuckiest thing I've done all day. There we go. That's the fuckiest thing I've done all day. It's gonna be the fuckiest thing we've done all day. We're gonna find Mark of London, and then we're gonna play. No, we're gonna talk about serious things. That's a good thing. We're talking about serious things. We're gonna talk about serious things. Excuse me. We're gonna talk about serious things. We're gonna talk about serious things today. So, imbalances in estrogen and testosterone in the environment, so that we can see that there being a component to that in a way that we wish to understand any structural imbalance in society, and that we are dealing with tender morsels, humans. And without going into really dark conspiracy theories, though I think it's perfectly legitimate to say that within 500 years, everything we're doing socially, in terms of how we're being and acting as human beings, could be seen as completely fucking homicidal. And you might be okay with that. Like, hey, that's like planned obsolescence. We're only supposed to be good for a time. Tomorrow, maybe we'll stop sacrificing our children to the school system. Because that's not what you're doing just by taking your children to school. That's what we're doing for anything or anyone when we fail to make an adequate provision for the voice and the safety of our children. And you would say, well, what does that mean? Well, it means everything. It means anything. It means we could all be wrong and we can all be right. We've got to figure it all out. It means welcome to life. Well, but goodbye to the security that you think you have so much that you need your security more than some child needs their safety or their voice in their safety. That's the thing, right? Our beliefs always make us feel secure. Our survival is always most important to us. And things that maybe threaten other people, they need to talk about, threaten our survival. Oh, shit, that sucks. That's called being an adult. Like the heart of if every single world, scientific training, whether you're a neurosurgeon and you speak 100 languages and you're the most powerful fucking male who ever lived, all of your life essentially gets to be whatever it needs to be in the sanctuary of your heart, where you find the complete meaning of your being and the sanctity of your being, whether you're playful there, or you have to have curses there, or you bring your anger there, your joy there, and everything that's numinous and wonderful that you would have, when your heart feels its best, this is where you want your heart to live, in the most wonderful church of your being. Your heart, your life. I don't want to say beliefs, your knowledge, your faith, what you fucking earned in every fucking way that you've inherited from all the awesome labors of your tradition, your family, your people, your gender, your race, and so forth. Now, everyone else has that too. And we can all have that. But we don't have, what happens is when we start talking about it, we start projecting it out, sharing it, maybe. But it could easily offend the sanctuary of somebody else's heart. Do you understand? And so, depending on the conditions we're living and what kind of sanctuary we've taken in our heart of hearts, that's to do with our careers, our knowledge, our race, our gender, and whatever else, our immune system, everything else, all that's the best, and every way that we need to protect ourselves and have and do or want to, by any flag and every laudable pursuit of human existence, okay, which we do not diminish here or disrespect, but that all is basically the religion of our heart. It makes sense to our heart. We feel good. We're a nurse, we're a doctor, we're a teacher. We're good. We feel good about what we did in life. We feel good about that. Why would anyone criticize that? So if we want to criticize that, I would say, and from my heart of hearts I do, then, and I want people to listen to me, I would have to construct a platform where you could say that in your heart of hearts, you could easily see all teaching in the 21st century being ruled barbaric and obsolete in the next 250 years. And it would be nobody's fault, because basically people who lived in the Stone Age were allowed to stone people to death, you would say. It's a mythology. And people in the Middle Ages, I guess, could use the guillotine a million times over, and people who lived in World War II got to gas Jews, you would say, because that's what you did back then. If you were in Auschwitz and you happened to be German SS officer, and birth and blah blah blah. It's like, you think anyone, any peon, any given Jew, any given German, any given Englishman in World War II really had that much control over what they were doing? I mean, yes, some people did much worse things than others, and people suffered more than others, and peoples suffered more than others. But how much control did any of our people have over really much of what they were doing? Except that they were just, this is what they did, or they didn't survive. It's not an excuse for genocide, but it's something that even Jewish rabbis have said, anything intelligent you can find by the Holocaust, any kind of intelligence you can aspire to, as speaking as a Jew in his case, is kind of like, it needs useful for something. We don't try to justify, we don't try to say we can comprehend the magnitude of this violence, but any kind of intelligence we could find, at least that's something, And Jews are very good in many respects of we have to be able to look at the darkness of human beings. They've seen it, right? So they have to find some way to comprehend the incomprehensible violence that humans are capable of to them, or respectively anybody else, right? It's real fucking shit, right? So I feel like I'm talking too much about serious things. I think I said we were going to talk about serious things, right? I think this camera's running out of battery. That's all right. Serious things, serious things. It's day 2 of the solstice in 2021. My name is Landon. I have long, blondish brown hair that has natural blonde highlights, and my nose is big, but my penis is about average. I wear this black hat. Sometimes I wear a gray one. Sometimes I wear a multicolored one. If you don't see it, it's because I'm sitting on top of it, so my hat doesn't get too cold or wet, or in any way attract the attention of people. They don't need to be looking at my ass. They need to be looking at my face and asking themselves, who is this motherfucker? Because I want to be a mystery to you. I want to be a mystery to you. I don't want sex with women, but I want some of their vaginas to think about it, just so I know that I'm a man still. Just give me an upvote if your vagina would ever consider allowing me to force you to accommodate my average size penis. Yeah. Press A if you found that funny, B if you found that incomprehensibly pitiful, and C if you kind of enjoy the mixture of both, but don't want to admit it. Yeah. I also laugh at my own jokes. It's an awful habit, it's a weakness. Like that. I say all kinds of words over and over again. You would say, does this dude know how he's completely isolated himself into a uselessly manner of talking and being that might seem smart in his own mind, but he just looks like a guy that's just flirting with homelessness while living with his mother? Here, let's just change the subject for a second. This is pretty nice. It's green, there's lots of ferns. You might think, I suppose, I think about how people would criticize me in the future, and I think, well, he spends a lot of time talking about himself. He maybe should be someone who does anything but what he's doing. Pretty much any possible criticism. It starts with, none of this could really ever be useful. What's wrong with him? I think that most days of his life, my dad would agree with you. And I'd say, hey, is that you, Dad? Except in one instance, when I was able to share my heart with him. And I think then he saw that it's not without purpose. I hope not. I'm scared to dance, but I can't afford to be too scared to be in the dance of life. I'd be a really good shaman in the sense that, really good shamans don't travel anywhere, they're indigenous. it means they don't want to do anything or go anywhere. They're like really alpha males. It's like, come to me. I'm too scared to get on an airplane. I must keep the sacred energy. But I always admired that in National Geographic when you could see humans that weren't likely to get on a plane and go anywhere else. Whether they were farmers or they were indigenous Indians of one persuasion or natives, um, Aborigines. I really enjoyed that. You look at animals, like how much is an animal going to travel in their life? I don't know. I like to imagine, like I see birdies that I know like kind of grow in groups and feed and move along. And maybe they stay in the same area, maybe they move hundreds of miles. Butterflies, believe it or not, can fly thousands of miles. So do animals do get around? Are there particular animals that will stay in the same place? Well, pets, if you stay in the same place, I guess they will. I don't know. I imagine some of the wildlife would stay close and some wouldn't, because animals sometimes have to spread out, bear, cougars. Highland's a big place, and a cougar can cover a lot of distance in a day, so you've got a lot of ground to cover. What an incredible kingdom. If you can keep it, animals have a pretty good thing going on. I mean, day and night. It's a 24-hour camping trip for them. And they've got their shelter on their back, and they've got their utensils and their hunting tools right here, and this is their hunting tool, and this is their communicator and sound, and their senses are just But a great wild animal is a comfortable one. When you see an eagle, it's like nobody's bothering them. Nothing bothers them. You see the blue heron, and they can be very relaxed because they have to be very focused. You notice they're very focused, but if you get near them, they'll just fly away, and then they'll come back into focus, and they'll fly away, and they'll come back into focus, and they'll just stand there and be like this. And they're just very still. It's incredible. Moving and still. It's the most incredible dance you'll ever see. If a dancer could imitate a blue heron, you should get the Nobel fucking prize. You'd have to have incredible muscle strength. It's really amazing. Or you could just be very fascinated. Maybe you could take young men seeing porn for the first time. It's like, get ready. I know what to do with this. Watch out, Arizona. No so sickly pure thing is when I first found one of my dad's porn magazines. I don't know how I smelled it out. I don't know if you knew. I was like, what I was even doing there. I saw this little dimple in the carpet in the corner of his room. I would go into my parents' room for no reason. I don't think my other siblings did that, but I like smelling my mom's perfume. I like seeing my dad's sock drawer. It was like I was reminding myself that they were married and they were my parents. I kind of like to make sure, check things out. I'm a curious person. I like to see I found some lubricant in my dad's drawer. I was like, I wonder what he uses that for, because I'm pretty sure he wasn't having sex with my mom. So it was probably for masturbating now I think about it. And it's like, okay, you never heard of fucking Vaseline? Anyway, so I found this porn, and it was like too much stimulation, to see these naked women and their vaginas and penises up them, standing, like literally a guy was fucking a mannequin. Like, you know what? I really want to respect these people. I know people don't think of porn as respect, but it's like the authors of this magazine understood what turned me on. That you lowered your inhibitions. Like, hey, maybe you could fuck a mannequin too. But a woman might say like, yeah, guys like fucking me from behind. I'm sure it like can give some guy a hard on just thinking about fucking a girl from behind. Putting his dick anywhere. Like you're just horny. It just seems like emulating even sexual acts is just extremely arousing for men. Just emulating the possibility of it. It's just so absolutely drives you wild. You know, and when you don't take the time to talk about it, you just whack off and go on with your life. No one writes a poem. This is how excited I was when I went home for lunch today and found my dad's porn. I mean, that would have been a pretty momentous time in your biochemical development. But it was too much. I mean, I could easily have masturbated without porn. You know, I'm not talking about and then there was the first time I bought porn, which was I think a Christmas issue, Anna Nicole Smith Playboy, and I made sure I walked as far out of town as I could to some Chinese-owned grocery store, and it was like, to me, it was like the best, sickest, worst day of my life because it was a little, it felt pretty shameful what I was doing, like, but it was like these were my boundaries in the world because I had never socialized. So like this is basically was my thing. I was the guy walking down the street in one point because I probably found some store I think down that way that had a porn, and I had found my porn magazine. That was something worth going for a walk. Obviously, it didn't take much to get me out the door. I like an excuse to go out the door and walk, and to me, there were days in my 20s my 20s, not my teens, where I walked across town for miles to go pick up maybe a porn magazine. You know, stick it in my jacket and go home and read it and whack off to it or whatever it is you do and just cherish it for the wonderful, beautiful new thing that it is. It wasn't exactly a pair of shoes, but it was like basically my social life. Like in a sense, I guess I just had to see naked women. This was it. Like this was me finally being natural in a life where I really didn't get treated as the natural. Not my mind, not my emotions, and now like to me, I would say sex comes from the mind and the emotions. It should come from that area. Instead, people just become sexually driven because their mind and emotions haven't been respected enough. So I could easily be enticed by a sexually predatory female and like get a boner. Or like, she invites me over for dinner and starts touching my dick. Like there are women who could probably have sex with me, and that's a scary thought. Think about that. There are women who could invite me into their house today, invite me dinner, sit on the couch with me. I would relax, smoke a joint, and they might reach over and start my crotch. And maybe they're good looking enough, or maybe I'm just comfortable enough that I decide to go for it. But that's rape. I'm being raped. But I'm talking about like back when I was very young. In my 20s, we're basically sexually 16, with women who might as well sexually compared to me have been 35. And enjoying what they were getting from me. But I wasn't. I didn't really know what was happening. I just didn't enjoy it. There was nothing really I liked about it. That couldn't be replaced by masturbating. And even the women didn't really seem that into me because when you're just physical, it really isn't that great. People who just have sex, they're constantly looking for random encounters and stuff because they need to take a higher risk to get the same excitement. Whereas, other women, they want to get emotionally excited. They want to know you. They want to get to know you. They want to enjoy you. And they start becoming almost delusional because they're ignoring parts of you they don't want to get to know, and they're focusing on everything they love about you and really convincing themselves maybe that you're the one. But they live in so much denial, no matter how positive they are, that eventually the anger comes out and you're not there with them because they really haven't even bothered to get to know you as far as you're concerned. They've been living in their own head, living in their own fantasy. And they're just used to molding men into what they want them to be. No man would seek to really pursue a woman based on sheer fantasy. But women do that to me all the time. They literally just project a fantasy onto me. And as much as I don't talk and they don't ask me questions, I become the perfect fantasy. As long as I stay a complete mystery to them. And it doesn't feel good. I like lesbians for that reason, because I'm not a mystery to them. you know? Or if I am, they don't care what it is. They don't care if I'm a mystery. They're like, hey, they don't care if I'm a mystery. Young girls, old women, they see a fucking mystery. But they never seem to want to know anything about it. They like the mystery more than they like the man. Those are stoppers. I heard some kind of creature. I heard some kind of creature. I'm sitting here too long. My camera's gonna end. And that's my song. That's my song. That's all it is. Cause I'm cold and I don't know if a wild animal's gonna attack me out of the dark, out of the forest. In the day, I'll be alone and I'll scream. And people will say that he thought he was wise, he was natural, he was high. He was out in the air, he was in the great wild, and yet he defied convention to his own demise. And I sat under a log that was a little too wet, a little too old, and it collapsed on me and choked me dead. And yet, did I not, listen to me, did I not say I felt pretty good that day? And thought, hey, Mom, I'm coming home, because this is, in fact, a really good way to live. I just have to find a way to tell people. Find a way to tell people, be honest and don't be a schmuck, to say, you know what, I think this is why the way I live is good. This is my so-called occupation. There are people who call themselves healers who just like to touch people's dicks for $55. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what is my occupation? I mean, what am I useful for? Could I prove to my father that I was useful? Hey, Dad, guess what? I finally became useful. I did it just for you, for Father's Day of 2022. I'm glad you hit me and punished me for not being useful enough to you, because I tried to be as useful as possible to no one but myself. And that made all the difference. Now I'm living under a bridge. I hate you and I love you. Not responsible for myself. When I let women rape me, how can I tell anyone that? How can I say, a woman raped me? A woman raped this man. And you be saying to yourself, you're a nice man. No one should be raping you. And I mean this respectfully. I would love a black man to give me some advice and talk like that and be like, I want one of those black men to be like, you need a woman to respect you. In your, like an alpha black male. Like, you're good, man. I love you, man. I would not hurt you, white man, though I could crush you with one hand. You gotta make your woman respect you. Or she's gonna be raping you and stuff. You don't want your woman raping you, man. Oh, how did you let that happen? You gotta check yourself before you wreck yourself. Letting women raping on you and stuff. Well, I didn't plan on it. Well, you didn't plan not to do it. You did everything they needed to know they could have their way with you. But I don't know what to say to them. Like, tell them no. They don't hear the word no. They don't accept the word no. Women, when they like me, they don't hear the word no. I must be a tasty fucking morsel. You know? Or they're just really hungry. I don't know. It's a combination of the two. I think whatever it is, like, I'm okay looking. I'm not great. Right? And listen, I mean, I'll be attractive to like 1 out of 1,000 with an income less than $50,000 a year. And those women will be fat and single and lonely and desperate. You think he just needs to walk the healing path of the triple labyrinth of the Ashanda plain and do the Nasara Amsa Asana pose of the wild swan turkey that loves to be beautiful and loved, but also needs to be sacrificed for Thanksgiving. Yay! I abhor male sacrifice. What was that? There's another creature. I gotta get down. I don't want to be stupid and stay here too long, even though it's quite a pleasant day. Let's start moving. I just want to say that ashwagandha is a useless herb for my giant testicles. They're too big for ashwagandha to be of any use. Instead, I beat them with a tiny ball-peen happer 100 times the size. It's kind of like Marcia brushing her hair in the Brady Bunch. 1, 2, free. It's kind of like qigong for your boss. Ashwagandha for my balls at night. Do 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 do. I hope some woman will wanna make it right, and her pussy will be so tight. It won't let me in. It won't let me in. And then I can just be gay, and everyone will think that I'm just white. Dun, 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 and fireworks go off behind me, and it's a musical called I'm Secretly Gay. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Jazz hands. But I don't want to wear nipple clamps. I'm just going to wear perfectly suitable outdoor garments. Alright? Don't touch me. Don't be coming up on me now. I'm gay, but I'm not a sodomite. No. I'm a very tight gay man. I don't like any of that homo stuff. In fact, I hate gay people. You know why? Because I'm gay. And it's okay to hate me now. Because I'm one of you. And don't be coming up on me. I mean, if I'm looking at your dick, it's in a porn movie, and it's about to go in with a whole pussy. I think I totally allow myself to see dick. I'm like, they're usually nothing compared to mine anyway. Unless you could find a way to make it feel as though I was fucking that beautiful girl. I would pay for that. Wow. It's so real. It would be like a normal kind of sentiment uttered with people using my product, which is called almost sex, or better than sex, without the gonorrhea, without the nasty herpes. Gone are the days of herpes. Welcome to the world of virtual vaginal sex for middle-aged virgin white men like myself. And you won't even have to admit what a loser you are. That'll be the Golden Monkey Club, and the, of course, Harry Palm and all, free subscription to my monthly men's magazine with beautiful stories about chronic masturbation. So if you're a young writer and you want to send in a story, it's got to be in the subject of chronic masturbation. Yes. And I'll consider it for publication. I think if I could advocate for one thing in the realm of sex, it would be stay home and masturbate. It's a fuck I'm old. I shouldn't say that really, but it's like, I'm not young. I'm gonna turn this off and then save it for later.